What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a great Thursday. We're going to continue to talk about the tropics as it's going to be a main topic over the next several days. As Tropical Storm Elsa did form overnight this morning, and it looks to be a threatening scenario potentially down the road for the United States. Places like Florida, the Panhandle of Florida, and just the Southeast and the Gulf states in general need to keep your eye on this. There is a battle between two main models, the GFS and the European. That is what we're going to break down this model. We're also in this video. We're also going to break down what this storm looks like right now. How is it done today? How is it faring right now? We're going to go through all that, and we're going to talk about the most updated potential threat as far as strength, steering, where it's going to go in this video. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. I upload videos every single day talking about the weather here in the United States, mainly the eastern U.S. Like the video if you like it. It helps get the video out there. And I just want to say thank you all for the incredible growth. June ended up being a major month for me. And honestly, I thought June was going to be probably one of the basically the lowest growth month for my channel. So thank you all for making it special for me. And, I'm just a guy that loves talking about weather. So y'all are supporting a guy who has a passion for the weather, and you're supporting me by just viewing my content. So thank y'all for the incredible support, and hit the subscribe button for me if you want to see daily content. So let's get going here. So right now, this is the 2 p.m. update. So by the time some of you watch this video, there's probably going to be an 8 p.m. update. But I tell you right now, for the 2 p.m. update, it's a 45 mile per hour storm. I think for the 8 p.m. update, if anything, it'll bump up 5 miles per hour, but I think it might stay the same. There hasn't been much strengthening today. I'm going to talk about why I think that is the case in this video. But right now, 45 mile per hour storm. Now we're talking about the cone of uncertainty here. So what's going to happen? Where's it going to go? Right now, it looks like a lot of the winds are going to be on the north side of the storm temporarily, for a while, until we really figure out, is this thing going to get into a full-fledged hurricane? Is it going to get basically a core? Is it going to have a full circulation where all sides of the storm are strong? But for right now, it's kind of lopsided to the north where the stronger winds are. So Barbados, the Lesser Antilles, notice the Lesser Antilles to the north have that tropical storm warning extended further north outside of the cone of uncertainty. That's because the higher winds are going to hit that area to the north. There's already a tropical storm watch for areas of Hispaniola. So people like Jamaica, Cuba, even Florida, you're already in the cone of uncertainty. So you need to watch this. It's saying by 2 p.m. there's a potential for a tropical storm off the western, 2 p.m. next Tuesday, off the coast of western Florida. So this is going to tweak. Don't look at this and take this like, okay, this is exactly what's going to happen. It's not exactly what's going to happen. This is just guidance for now. Right now, this is water vapor. What are we looking at right now? Well, I will mention this. There's another tropical wave behind what is tropical storm lore. Tropical storm lore. I guess I've been thinking about hurricane lore from last year. But tropical storm Elsa right here. There's another tropical wave. We're not going to talk about that, but it is interesting because it looks like it might be mentioned here in the next day or so by the National Hurricane Center. But this is what we got. We got tropical storm Elsa, and it doesn't look much different than it has the last several hours, really. Today, it's gotten a little bit of dry air mixed into the circulation, not a ton, but you can tell where the boundary of moist air and dry air is, where these discolorations here in the grays and the darker grays or blacks, if you will. This thing is moving very fast. It is blazing at about 25 to 30 miles per hour, and that is fast, and it's actually helping for this tropical system to struggle. Elsa is struggling because of that. It's basically outrunning its low-level energy here, if you will. It's creating not much right now, but it's going to cause issues once it moves a little bit deeper into the Caribbean. It's probably going to outrun its coverage a little bit, if you will. So it's going to create shear because basically the low levels of the storm is going to get somewhat exposed by some shear because it's going to outrun its main convective bands here. Now, there isn't really a core here. There's basically, I was looking at microwave imagery here a little bit earlier. There's on one side of the storm, probably on the eastern side of the storm is where you're having a big blow up of convection right here at sunset here, but it's definitely not a full-fledged circular motion of convection all the way around this circulation, and typically you don't get that. Would I say it's strengthening right now? Maybe a little bit, but right now it's just kind of stationary as far as how strong it's getting. We're going to continue to watch this. It's going to continue to move fast until it gets about south of Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic. And then I think it's going to slow down. But this is what it looks like right at this moment, dealing with a little bit of shear and a little bit of dry air, and it's just moving very fast. That's actually not helping out the storm. Here's a close-up look at this thing. There's a big blow-up of convection right here, right at sunset. But other than that, it's still very disorganized. It looks like a weak tropical storm right now to me. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what this thing does overnight. It really is, especially when we get into sunrise and see if we can get that convective explosion like some tropical systems like to do right at sunrise. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. That's going to be very interesting. As far as what's going on with the intensity models, a lot of them keep them at tropical storm. I'm not going to lie here, but there's a lot. They make them all the way to Category 1, potentially Category 2. If I had to say right now the max ceiling for Tropical Storm Elsa, it would be a Category 2 hurricane. I think that is the ceiling of this storm. Now, it could get stronger, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But this is the global models and the hurricane models as far as where it's tracking. A lot of them like the GFS scenario. They like them to head just south of Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, south of Cuba, and really hit Jamaica, maybe not dead on, but we don't know that kind of information right now. But then curve north and affect Florida and the southeast. So the southeast, really in general, really needs to keep your eye on this. We'll take a look at the latest GFS. This is the latest GFS 18Z, and show you what it shows here. Has it hitting the Lesser Antilles as early as tomorrow afternoon. Makes it by around Saturday afternoon just south of Hispaniola and the Dominican Republic. Keeps on moving. It's probably gaining a little bit of strength. At this point right here, it's going to begin to slow down. It's going to be able to pump the brakes a little bit, and this is where potentially right around this area, it's getting close to Cuba and Jamaica here. It may begin to strengthen. There's some very warm waters right here. There's a very low shear here, and there's not a lot of things preventing it except in land interaction from it strengthening. If this thing goes more north and rides over Cuba, it's not going to strengthen. There's high mountaintops over Cuba, and it's just not going to happen. But if it keeps doing what it's doing with the GFS, this thing has a chance to definitely be a hurricane. Now, it keeps moving here, strengthens. There's some warm waters into the mid to upper 80s here just south of Cuba, Fahrenheit here. Some warm water, so it's going to have a chance to strengthen before it moves over Cuba. GFS has it around a Category 1 hurricane, maybe a low-end Category 2. Moves over Cuba, weakens, gets into the Florida Keys by Tuesday morning, and then by around Tuesday afternoon, the GFS wants an all-out hurricane bearing down the southwest side of Florida. But I will tell you this. I'm going to stop it right here. This is for Tuesday afternoon. I like to break this down for you guys. Every time I click this button, it's backing up to the run previous to this. So I'm going to click it 4 times, and we're going to see where the storm shows up. So this is the lunchtime model. This is the model before that. This is the 06Z model run. So this is the morning run. And this is the overnight runs. So we're going to go forward. And look, there's been a little bit of a tick west just over the last few runs. I won't even call it a trend. I'll have to watch this because it may be the last few runs been ticking a little bit towards the European model as far as steering currents. Maybe not strength, but steering currents and where it's going to go. But if you keep going here, it makes landfall and in Florida overnight, Tuesday into Wednesday, and begins to ride up Florida, the spine of Florida, into the Georgia, into the Carolinas as a tropical storm, and will have some fairly impactful weather for them if that was to occur. The European keeps this thing at a tropical storm at best, but then has it, I'm telling you, this area right here is when, basically, I'm going to break this down in a second, so y'all hold with me here. Basically, when this thing gets just south of the Dominican Republic, it's going to have 2 options. One option is, if it's a European scenario, if it's a weaker storm, it's going to get picked up and influenced by the steering currents at the base of the south, the base of the subtropical ridge here just northeast of the storm. If it's a weaker storm, it's going to be influenced by the currents a little bit more. So in that case, it would get pulled more north and merge with that trough that's actually going to dip down and just kind of turn into nothing. It's some tropical moisture. It merges into some energy that's an upper level low that will end up bringing us a nice weekend across the southeast. So it almost merges with an upper level low here and turns into nothing. You back up, you go to the GFS scenario, and it has it strengthening so it gets out of the grip of the subtropical ridge over here and is able to kind of go into the weakening area of the ridge over here and strengthen. Now you look at the latest hurricane model, the famous HWRF model, which I'm telling you guys, it did well with intensifications for hurricanes last year. So I know this thing gets crazy, but it also does well sometimes too. It has this thing, we're getting into Saturday morning. It is a all-out hurricane. It's getting south of the Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, around Saturday afternoon. It's showing it as a Category 2, maybe a Category 3 hurricane. And then it gets, this is as far out as the latest model one goes. I can actually go up to another one. But then you see it bearing down on Jamaica as a Category 3 hurricane. I'm going to back it up to the 12Z run. It's probably going to show something a little bit different. About the same. And we keep going here in time, and this model only goes out 126 hours. But this model run favors the GFS. The hurricane model favors the GFS. That's why the cone of uncertainty for the Hurricane Center is really favoring the GFS. Because there's a lot of other models that are favoring the GFS too. Now this comes in and goes between Jamaica and Cuba, makes landfall in Cuba as probably a Category 2 or 3 hurricane, weakens over Cuba a little bit, then begins to re-strengthen a little bit as it's in the bath waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico, which could spell trouble. It's hard to mention this, but if it's over the Gulf of Mexico, west of Florida, for any longer than a day, there's going to be some rapid intensification with this potentially. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with this, and I'll show you what I mean as far as the steering currents. Here it is. This is the GFS. This is the subtropical ridge right here. It's keeping this thing pretty south. But the GFS scenario is pretty strong. So you have winds right here out of the southeast. So they're moving up, and then they're moving out of the don't let me mess up my directions here. You got winds basically moving out of the southwest here. So it's moving around this subtropical ridge, if you will. So it's going to start moving, and it's going to be strong enough to lose the main grip of the subtropical ridge. So it gets away from it a little bit. It's able to plow into the far western edge of the subtropical ridge. And it's still influenced by it, but it's able to hold its own and move a little bit further west than the European. The European's a much weaker storm, so it's influenced more by the currents from the ridge. And this is what I'm talking about. If the GFS scenario happens, it's going to get in these waters just south of Cuba, and there is some warm waters and just south of Cuba. I really think that favors some significant, some potential for some significant strengthening with this storm. And we got to watch out for this, especially if it slides and doesn't interact with land much. The core of the storm does not interact with land much. But here's the latest GFS mean ensembles. The storms pretty much are tightly clustered up. They get to about here, and then they differ as far as the strength of the storm. The ones that have it in the more northern area of the GFS ensembles have it interacting with Cuba. You're going to have weaker storms, but if they stay south, then they're going to be more west. They're going to go more west, and the storms are going to be more stronger, potentially. Now, you got a couple that are pretty strong. They get off the coast of the southeast, and that might spell trouble for the Carolinas. But it's split pretty much down the middle. So we got to watch this. Steering currents here, we've talked about it here many times. I break it down in all my videos. Here's the storm right here. It's being forced south about that subtropical ridge. But then once the storm gets away from that subtropical ridge and gets to a weaker area of it, it's able to begin to move north. All models show that, all of them. So I think one model I forgot to show. was the Canadian model, but I thought I had it pulled up, but I guess I didn't. But anyways, that's pretty much all I got. This is an interesting storm, and one thing I'm going to watch overnight is basically, what is this going to do overnight? I don't think it's going to do much overnight, honestly. I think it's going to stay about the same. I don't think you're going to have any crazy intensification. I wouldn't be surprised if we all woke up with with a 45 mile per hour storm still about to hit the Lesser Antilles and Barbados. But a big thing I want to see is the GFS going to tick to the European, or is the European going to start budging to the GFS? Because I tell you what, the European is flexing hard and is not budging, and it's going to be a major win for the European if all of a sudden the GFS starts trending more and more north with this scenario. GFS is going to lose a lot of respect, but GFS will gain a lot of respect if it holds its own and keeps that more track west. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting in the next several days, I tell you that. Thank you all for watching and the incredible support. Hope you all have a blessed evening.